Are the Minnesota Vikings trying to make a big move to go get Matthew Stafford? What about Jeffrey Simmons? And what could it take to be able to go and get a player? Let's talk about it. I'm Tyler Forness with A to Z Sports, covering your Minnesota Vikings. And there have been rumors that have been bountiful across the nation here. And the biggest one has been, are the Vikings trying to acquire Matthew Stafford? Now let's talk about the basis of it here. The idea is the Vikings want to make a stretch run. They don't quite believe in Sam Darnold, but guess what? Matt Stafford helped Kevin O'Connell and the 2021 Rams win a Super Bowl. There's continuity in the offense. He would be able to step in right away and theoretically play at a high level because schemes are very similar. You just have a little bit of differences in verbiage. Not a big deal, right? Well, that's not happening. It didn't make sense from the start considering JJ McCarthy is waiting in the wings and the amount of capital, one, it would take to get him, and two, salary cap space it would take in order to acquire him. But for the Rams' perspective, maybe they want Sam Darnold as their long-term option because Matt Stafford has an out after this year. And not only that, he spent last week with Fox, essentially auditioning for a potential job. So you have these things lining up. Well, the Vikings aren't interested in trading for him, and that was confirmed earlier on Wednesday by the Minnesota Star-Tribune's Ben Gessling, Vikings beat writer, said he had inquired, and he said it was absolutely not a thing. Now, another aspect that the Vikings could be looking at is a player like Jeffrey Simmons. Simmons, the Tennessee Titans star defensive tackle, will forever be linked to the Vikings by fans because the Vikings took Garrett Bradbury at 18th overall, and the Titans took Simmons at 19th overall in that 2019 NFL draft. Well, Simmons has been a two-time Pro Bowler and a two-time second-team All-Pro, and Bradbury has been average at best. Not exactly what you would call good. Well, the Vikings would make complete sense to try and acquire Simmons because they are now willing to give up their first-round pick. Score North's Darren Wolfson said that the Vikings are looking to be aggressive at the trade deadline and could be willing to offer up that first-round pick. Now, that first-round pick isn't going to go to some rental. They're going to try and make a TJ Hawkinson-type trade where they believe that this player is going to be a key factor and cornerstone of this football team for the next 3 to 4 years. That's why they made that big trade to go get TJ Hawkinson, because they believed in him with their long-term vision. And that's something that the Vikings are going to try and do. Now, could they still try to get a rental? Sure. But they're going to pay like a 5th, 6th, or 7th round pick to go get that player. They won't be paying a first to get a true rental. They're going to try and acquire a player that they believe can be a major factor for them long-term. Who fits the bill? Jeffrey Simmons. Simmons does have some large salaries, though. $16 million this year, $17.5 next year, $20.173 in 2026, and $23 million in 2027. Pretty big salaries, right? But you're also getting an elite-level defensive player, and he did sign a 4-year, $94 million contract extension. So these numbers aren't crazy to think about, but they are large numbers. Unfortunately, for the Vikings, it may not be happening at all, as A to Z Sports' own Buck Rising on 104.5 The Score said that the Titans have no interest currently in trading Jeffrey Simmons. The interest part is what's interesting here, because the Minnesota Vikings had no interest in trading Stephon Diggs or Percy Harvin either. Could that change down the line? Sure. Money talks. Compensation talks. Losing talks. The Titans earlier on Wednesday made 2 trades. They traded DeAndre Hopkins and Ernest Jones to the Chiefs and Seahawks, respectively. Big difference there? Expiring contracts, not cornerstones of the franchise. Could they change their mind on Simmons? Sure. But it's worth noting that they already said no. That it's being reported that they are not interested in trading him. That could be a trade tactic to try and drive up the price with Minnesota and other teams. But realistically, he's probably out. There are other players. There are a few cornerbacks out there. J.C. Horn of the Carolina Panthers. Greg Newsome of the Cleveland Browns. Both could be really interesting. Everybody's still going to talk about Dexter Lawrence. But don't be shocked if Vikings make a major trade acquisition to try and help them this year and beyond. I'm Tyler Forness with A to Z Sports. Skol Vikings.